want to get into what we're looking forward to on the offensive side. You already talked about it. The biggest thing that we all were looking forward to was Cade versus JJ in this game. Well, unfortunately, JJ has suffered an injury to his shoulder, so he won't be playing, has been very limited in practice, I guess. So, I guess my question to you is, are you still excited to see Cade and what he's done over the past, 3 months or so since we last saw him in December or January 1st? No,
January
December 31st.
December 31st. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm still, I still want to see Cade out there, see what kind of throws he's making. I know we kind of gave him shit a little bit last year for not having a great deep ball, but he was really good with the intermediate and short throws. So I'll see what his deep ball looks like. I mean, Cade's a guy that can't be slept on, but everybody still kind of is sleeping on him. And it sounds like that gives him a little chip on his shoulder. So I want to see kind of like how much he's worked on the offseason and how smooth he looks out there. And I'll be excited to see that. But other than Cade, I just want to see the receivers he's throwing to as well.
Yeah, and honestly, I was gonna touch on the chip on his shoulder. I mean, he's been in press conferences and other podcasts that he's done, like talking about like, I am the starting quarterback. I am a Big Ten championship winning quarterback. So I want to see how he leads the team coming out here and see what he can do. But to your point, there are so many weapons. This offense brings back so many guys. You lose a couple on the offensive line. You lose Andrew Vastardis. You lose Andrew Stuber. And then you lose Hassan Haskins. But other than that, a Dalen Baldwin's gone on the wide receiver core. Outside of those four, everybody else is back essentially. So, when you're talking about the running back room, these guys, Blake Corum and then Donovan Edwards now is going to get a much bigger role. What do you think about the running back room?
I'm excited, man. I mean, they're like 1A, 1B, and they're very similar backs where they can be, they both can be very explosive. I think Edwards will kind of lean more into that Hassan role from last year. Like he can be a little bit more physical, but he's got more speed than Hassan had. I'm trying to think are there any other big name recruit running backs? It's hard. I mean, they just get lost in the wind behind those two guys, but
so Tavier Dunlap was
he came in last year with Dono, right?
Yep. So he'll be a redshirt freshman. He got, I don't want to say garbage time, but he didn't get a whole lot of snaps last year. Obviously, that running back room was stacked already. CJ Stokes was coming in. He was a 3-star that came in. So I'm betting that they'll split those two up. I'm betting they'll split Donovan and Corum up and have those guys, and then Dunlap and Stokes will be the backups for them too.
Yeah, I'll be excited to see those guys. CJ Stokes, just a great running back name.
Running back name.
That's what I'd be excited to see for him.
But
also the O-line, man, on both sides. Like you said, we got I'm trying not to butcher this. Olusegun Oluwatimi.
Yep.
On the line, playing center. Zinner's going to be playing a little bit of center, so we won't see him in his natural position, but Trente Jones, I want to see him out there. Who else will be a new face on the line? Maybe those will be the two biggest new guys, but also like Carson Barnhart, Reese Atterbury, those guys that have been there for a while. I want to see how they can run the ball against their defense, with the kind of linemen spread out.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Olu's going to be the big one that we're seeing because I think everyone projects him to be a starter. And then the rest of the starting linemen that are coming back, Trevor Keegan and Zach Zinter, who we had on our podcast this week, awesome guys, and we're excited to see what they can do. And then Ryan Hayes is going to be a grad senior too. So, they're bringing a lot of experienced guys back. And then Zinter and Keegan said that right now it's a pretty good battle for that right tackle spot between Trente Jones and Carson Barnhart. So I think that's going to be a big one to watch for in this spring game. Who comes out emerging as the leader in that spot going into the summer. But some of the young guys that you were talking about that I'm really excited about seeing, Raheem Anderson, who's going to be a redshirt freshman. He was a highly touted recruit. Tristan Bounds as well. Giovanni El Hadi too. So they had some big recruits in this past class that haven't seen much time because this offensive line has been so experienced. So I'm excited to see what those guys can do. And then Reese Atterbury, like you said, will probably get some reps at center. Greg Crippen too.
Yep.
So I think this O line is going to show out, especially against a defensive line that we'll talk about in a minute here. But that D line is not going to be near as experienced. So I could see this O line pushing the defense around a little bit.
Yeah, and I know again we've got we'll talk about some dark horses later, so I'll save it a little bit. But even when Keegan and Zinner were on the podcast, they talked about some young guys on the line, on the D line that were really kind of opening eyes. So I'm pumped to see how they compete against the O line too.
Yeah, and then we're talking about weapons too. You go out to the wide receiver room. We already talked about how they have basically everybody except Dalen Baldwin that's coming back. So you have Andrell Anthony, who was a star that just burst onto the scene for Michigan this past year. I'm really excited to see what he does in the number 1 jersey. I think he could be a guy that becomes like the number 1 option for Michigan here because he's a big body, has the speed and all that stuff. But you've got Cornelius Johnson coming back. Ronnie Bell, I'm not sure. I don't think he's been practicing, so I don't know if we'll see him much.
Right.
But even a Donovan Edwards in the slot too. I think it'll be really cool to see what this offense does, especially with Josh Gaddis gone and Sherrone Moore and Matt Weiss jumping into this offense and calling different plays. So that's something to watch too. Is it a new scheme? What are they doing with that too?
I'd like to think that they'll keep it pretty similar to what Gaddis ran just because of the success they had last year. But yeah, I'm excited to see if they do any 2-back sets and they put, Dono out wide and have Corum in the backfield. I mean, there's just so many weapons on offense, man. I mean, so many different things they can do.
We didn't even mention Roman Wilson and AJ Henning, who played a ton last year. So
Samerstill, he'll still be playing both ways. I mean,
right. That's so true. And even Dennis is a junior that probably will get some play time too. So man, they're very, very deep and with all pretty experienced guys. Like everybody's gotten run there that we just talked about.
Yeah. Yep.